These two.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Roll call, please.
President Gardner,
Present.
Vice President Vogler,
Present.
Commissioner Scholar,
Present.
Mr. Jones is absent this evening, and Commissioner Lasanti.
Present.
And Solicitor Stone.
Here. I move to approve the minutes of the workshop meeting of November 10th, 2014.
I'll second that since. All in favor signify by saying aye.
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 Reports, public safety, number one, there he is.
We on tonight?
Come on up.
Oh, I forgot.
No, we're good. Sit there. Good evening, folks.
Good evening.
How y'all doing tonight? Nice and cold, huh?
Icy.
Me and Mr. Clark there were just talking about the advantages of Florida about this time. I did have one of the meetings. She didn't come up, stand up to public meeting during the participation time, but she asked me about Redgate, and she had spoken before, stating that there some speeding on Redgate. So I had some of my guys do a little traffic post there, and there's a list of times that they were there. Of all the times they sat 7 different shifts with a total of 131 cars being clocked, 10 of which were stopped and issued citations for speeding. So, and we can do that periodically, and sometimes it helps. It's mostly people coming to and from work, and they're kind of in a hurry. And nature, that's what people, that's what we do.
It's difficult.
Yeah. Following the report of police activity in Lakewood Township for the month October. Alarms, residents, alarms, business alarms. Theft report, individual reported that she had a aluminum ladder and some copper pipe on the side of her house. Earlier in the day, she had some people that were looking to do some remodeling. She believes it may be them. May also be someone related to the family type thing with the drug problem. And a fraud case. These are becoming very prevalent. They're under different guises, and this one in particular, usually it's like they call up and say they're with some federal agency, IRS or one of them, and they tell people that they owe money, and they have a whole line of verbiage that they use, and they get the people all worked up. They tell them they're a warrant for them. If they don't get on to the post office or they go somewhere and wire some money to them within the next few hours, and then somebody's going to come and arrest them. I tell you, it gets people upset. It really does. You know, but this is going on, and there's nothing we can do because they're coming out of Jamaica, the Dominican Republic. That's where the phone calls are coming from. There's absolutely nothing we can do. Now, the best thing to do is, if someone calls you on the phone, they're not from any agency. We tell them that. The IRS, they're not going to call you on the phone and ask you for something like that. So, but it does alarm people.
The one that's tricky is these, I've had a couple occasions where computer people supposedly repair your computer. Are you in front of your computer now? Whole story.
Another one is they're calling and saying that they have, they're calling real quick and saying, Mr. Gardner, I have your grandson here. He's been arrested. No, whether you have a grandson, they're taking a chance. And oftentimes people do that. Or they use nephew, because everybody has a nephew.
Yeah.
And they even put somebody on and say, Grandpapa, I'm here. Can you send money? And they cut them off right away. And then people wire money. I had a mayor of one of the communities that we served was going to wire $1,500 to Western Union number.
Well, sometimes they just, because this happened to me, sometimes they just want you to call them back because they want your number.
Yeah.
So I had someone call and say, this is FBI agent so-and-so, please call me at this number. And they leave it on the answering machine. And then, you get that and you call that number, they get the number. And I think they then sell the number. They do something with the number.
Because I had somebody, and it was supposedly an attorney, And you have to call this number.
Oh,
And
yeah,
I
it
called,
was a US attorney I got.
and whoever answered the phone was clearly not very professional. And they put me through, and this man said, and he knew my name, which was interesting because I don't think I gave my name. And he said, well, something. I said, who am I speaking to? Because I knew it was a scam. And he wanted my social security.
Yeah.
And I said, who
No,
am I
no, no,
speaking to? And he said, you think I'm going to tell you that if you won't give me your social security number? And then he hung up. And I thought, well, they weren't very slick. I mean,
Okay, go ahead.
Okay, I have a runaway complaint, juvenile, got mad, left home and come back a little while later.
it's too bad.
Yeah. Disabled vehicle, fire call, medical emergency assist with ambulance is 7, trees down, 1 animal complaint and 18 citations.
Quiet month.
18
Oh.
citations. You guys were busy.
Well,
Thank you. Any
Well,
other
that's 10
questions?
is from the time when
That
you
is
were.
one day, yeah.
Yeah.
well, that's not 1 day, that's over 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, it's over 10 days. I'm sorry, October, 6 days.
Hmm.
But sometimes, and I don't doubt that people have good intentions, but when they see cars going by the house, I always think they're fine. And sometimes they may be wanting to, but generally, once we get there and set up, and I will find that it's probably not quite as bad as I think it is. Are there some speeding? Absolutely. You're always gonna have that, but it's,
Not all of them.
yeah. It's hard
Hard to think you're speeding down Redgate.
Yeah. Yeah, and sometimes it's
Unless
tire
you got a
noise,
race car.
tire noise and the road gravel and different things that kind of make things sound a little more than that. Any other questions?
No, thank
I don't
you.
need this anymore, right?
Thanks.
I want to commend and thank the chief. There was an abduction or an attempted luring in
Lee Township, was it Lee or Leedston?
Bell Acres.
Bell Acres, right, Bell Acres. And everybody in Quaker Valley School District sent out a school district-wide email, and everybody was very upset. And I reached out to the chief via email, and bang, 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 he was very responsive, and we had increased patrol at our school bus stops the next morning. So thank you very much.
Yes, sir.
Everybody appreciated that.
Well, you can have that.
Okay, yeah, thank
You
you.
know who that is, okay?
Yeah, you.
Okay.
Anything from the fire department?
No report.
Emergency management?
No report.
Communications, we have a report.
My report, I have a little bit of new business that I'll deal with in new business, but I wanted to let everybody know, this sort of also comes in under all action items. Gwen and I sat down and we looked at the state of the network in the building. And
No Wi-Fi?
well, remember that our issue was with one of our audit recommendations was recovery for our data, a backup for our data. So we've audited the structure of the data, and I'm confident that it's good. You have redundant backup systems, so you have one backup that's being created in-house, and you have one backup that's being done off premises, and it's working. So
Are you using?
Carbonite?
Carbonite.
That's what I use.
Yeah. So that's good. And Gwen and I, we came up with some, I don't know if I'd call them communications, but sort of IT to-do lists. So good stuff will be coming.
Got it?
That's it. Thank you.
Thank you. We'll accept that report. Planning and zoning? No
No report.
no.
Try to think, but no report. No meeting this
Are
month.
they meeting at all?
Okay, probably may have a meeting in December.
Okay.
That counts as no report.
Tax collector,
Okay.
you have it.
You have your reports here for October. Earned income tax collected was $6,993.69. Business privilege, $782.99. Local service tax, $1,309.07. Property tax is zero, but zero. Delinquent real estate tax, $6,441.07. And realty transfer tax, $1,963.26, for a total of $17,490.08.
Okay, any questions? Accept that report. Treasurer,
Okay. In the general fund checking account, we have $147,140.31. In the Pliget transaction account, we have $5,185.62. In the Pliget general investment account, we have $1,028,876.70. The liquid fuels fund, $39,905.07. Reserve fund, $103,401.25. Capital improvements, $510,613.12. And infrastructure fund in the invest program, $15,740.00. Net operating funds of $1,165,462.63. And the sewer bond fund, $362,891.77. And I would like to make a comment about some of these numbers just for your information. They're all accurate, but if you see, just to give you a better picture of what was really happening, our bill list this month is $151,000. And that includes tobacco, which is why it's so high. So think about that when you think about the checking account. I will have to transfer money from the general investment Pliget Plus into the checking just to cover this month's bills. So that you could think of that as having zero till, because I'm going to wipe out that general fund there. Liquid fuels fund, you're about to approve invoices that total $17,000, I think. So that's going to wipe out half of the liquid fuels balance that we have already, which is our salt account. That's all we use this for.
The salt.
And the capital improvements fund that has $510,000, that's our paving account that we haven't spent any money from yet. We're going to spend about $500,000 of that also. So just to give you a better picture that a lot of these numbers seem very high, but they're earmarked already. So it may look like we have 1.165 million, but we're spending a good chunk of that in the next couple of months. So just so you get a feel for the trends.
okay, thank you.
So the sewer bond,
Oh, that too. Thank you, Tony. That has $362,000 right now. I just wrote a check for $358,000, which was the biggest check I've ever written, not my money. And so that just went off. So that account is down to a very small amount. However, I have 4 checks waiting from the authority that they're finishing processing and get to us. So that account will be replenished to the tune of $200,000 amount.
Okay.
that's debt service.
That's a debt
And
service
that's
account.
the debt service.
Debt service, that's all it is. Coming in, going out.
That's right, that's just, right in, but the actual bond fund account.
They have maintained, they haven't spent anything on it,
Yes,
and that's around 400,000.
that's a little more than 400, okay. And I still want to talk to Wells Fargo.
Oh, sure, yes.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, okay, thank you.
Okay, treasurer's report. Accept that. Finance. Is that the budget or what's what?
That's the bills, so just making them to,
Okay, so I move to approve the October bill list in the amount of $151,746.96.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye, motion carries.
I have a motion to ratify the October prepaid bills in the amount of $66,585.99.
I'll second
Any further discussion? All in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Motion carries.
I have a motion to ratify the October payroll transfers in the amount of $17,178.70.
I'll second that. Any further discussion? All in favor? Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion to transfer $23,602.25 from the liquid fuels fund to the general fund for the payment of road salt invoices.
I second.
Any further discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries. Aleppo Township Authority, COG. Oh, wait, excuse me, I skipped.
There's no
Leopold
call.
Township Authority,
Okay,
I'll give you a chance to say something.
okay, just a few things. I'll give you the superintendent's report. He went through the semi-annual line for flushing, and during a line flushing that's when you any weakness in the water line shows up, and there were three major leaks which have been repaired. Interesting, two of them were on Redgate Road, and the other one was on Sycamore Road. But on Redgate Road, that indicates that the number of clamps that were put in for to repair the leaks. The belief is that there's about 200 feet of line there that actually needs to be repaired.
On Sycamore,
No, on Redgate.
on Redgate.
So we'll put that, they'll put that on the budget, the authority will put that in the budget. You'll have to, hopefully we'll hold off till next year. So that's the only thing there. Also, Superintendent finished regrading the old Hill Road so that the cars can get by, and you've seen that, Ron. And so that's in pretty good shape, all things considered. And he's going to do a little more grading to try to smooth out the big fall off between the road and the landfill. So that's it. And the last thing is the water high pressure testing apparatus is working. It's been checked out, and it appears to be functioning, and all the signals are being transmitted. So if there is a break, our superintendent will know it, and it'll be transferred or transmitted to other spots. Interesting to note that there's about 300 PSI in that line. So if it breaks, it'll be a hell of a washout. But anyway, so that is working. The only other thing I have is the authority minutes, or the minutes of the authority meeting of last Tuesday. It was a raucous meeting. I must tell you that the authority board was not pleased with the accepting of the councilman or commissioners accepting of the letter from Swickley to pay only half. There's nothing they can do about it. I think they're going to send a letter so notifying you that. So there's not much you can do. It's been done. We passed it 3 times, so it is what it is. They did make a motion that the authority should send that letter that was written by both John and I. Harlan later told me that I should not be signing that since I'm no longer on the authority. So that'll happen, but it won't happen until the letter is sent to Swickley accepting the big payment they're going to make. And the other item of interest is that the motion was made to have solicitor work with Masonic in challenging the sewer tap fee from the borough of Swickley. We have 2 opinions from our new consulting engineer and our rate expert indicating that Swickley is double dipping and there's no justification for that tap fee. So that,
Have you advised the residents who have been billed? Or they've been billed by Swickley, right?
Yeah.
Which is for a tapping fee. Have we advised them not to pay the fee, or we remain silent?
The word here is we're remaining silent, but what Swickley has done is they wrote and said, we're warning you that the fee is going to be $4,000. If you run in here today and give us was it $1,000?
Pay one by
Yeah.
the end of the month.
Yeah, then we'll accept that.
Mhm.
There's nothing we can say about that. It's between Swickley and the people. If they want to run in there and give them $1,000.
Mhm.
So we,
I guess it wouldn't be proper for us to say anything, is what you're.
We've got on the agenda, I'm going to make a motion further on down the line here
okay,
to talk about this.
okay, that's just,
Yep.
that's the authority report. Okay? That's it.
Okay. Any questions, discussion? Accept the report.
I have something I want to say. I heard about your spirited meeting the other night. And I hope that we all remember that the authority is not privy to executive session, what happened in executive session. And I stand by things that were done in executive session. I'm sorry to hear that the authority is not happy with that, but the conversations that we had in executive session need to stay in executive session.
I don't think there was anything said to us. in the
Okay.
executive session.
Okay.
Okay. COG,
There's no report. The meeting is Wednesday night. First meeting in months.
Ambulance Authority.
No report, meeting is Tuesday.
Public Works.
I'll do that too, because Tom is out in a salt truck.
Yeah, we'll talk about that, and then I'll talk about the
He's out
motion.
salting right now.
Yeah, go ahead.
This past month, they've worked on salt spreaders. They've done body work on the dump truck beds, blown leaves off of township roads, loaded the salt building with 300 tons of salt, did maintenance on all 3 snow plows, oiled the trucks for winter, painted the yellow line on Sewickley Heights Drive, and put the salt spreaders in the trucks for such an event.
And they spread the salt today.
Yes.
Well, if you would thank him, please, for the yellow line on Sewickley Heights Drive.
Sure.
I actually think it's very helpful.
I went in and I paid more attention when I turned in.
Yeah.
Is this for that sharp turn off of
Yeah.
Glen Mitchell?
Yeah, it goes down fairly good.
Good move. Okay. Is that all on number I?
I believe so.
Okay, then we go to, need a motion to approve El Grande change order to increase base material on Overlook Drive for a cost of $2,463.00.
I make that motion.
I second.
Any discussion?
Well, maybe this is not the right time to ask this question, but can somebody give us an update about what's happened with the paving project with Overlook with
Yeah, I
the,
think we're ready to do that. Do you want to start now?
Sure, yeah.
I'll
We
jump
actually
in.
had a meeting this morning with the contractor. We basically have run out of time to get some of the roads completely finished this year. The base coat was put on all of the roads except for Overlook. Let's treat Overlook separately. Overlook didn't have anything done except for what they call a scratch coat, which is just a layer of pavement to hold things in place until you can get to it. That was put on the worst sections on the drive in and out of Overlook, and it was put across the whole cul-de-sac section, which is the biggest problem with the biggest holes. At the meeting this morning, Tom indicated that he is satisfied with that coat for this year and feels that it is going to now be plowable for this year. So that's where that one stands. All the other roads have had their base coat put down, but they have not had their top put on yet. And so we're just running out of the right weather to do it.
Yeah.
So El Grande is going to come in and make sure that all the inlets that are currently sitting up are properly paved around to have a little rise so the plows don't hit them and the cars don't hit them. And then they will be back in the spring to finish the top coat on those roads and to do Overlook. The purpose of the meeting today was to, we had a representative from El Grande here, to get them to commit, and we're going to get it in writing. Harlan's gonna be working, reading what they sent, to make sure that they come back as we are a top priority in the spring. I didn't want them to say, oh, we did half your job, we'll come back in August. I want them here as soon as the plant's open, basically, to get our project finished. So that's where everything stands right now.
And they seemed okay with that?
They did,
You mentioned that the catch basins are high. How
they
are we,
were lifted in order to meet the new paving level.
yeah, well, how are we gonna get water off the,
Well, that's gonna be interesting. The road, they did put a crown on the base for most of it. So most of it will kind of get there. There will be a couple spots where it's gonna sheet into the grass where they don't have
drain?
it's not gonna hit the basements.
It's not finished paving. So the best they can do is just clean up around the catch basin and try to get it off to the road.
And so this is not overlooked. This is what roads are we talking about?
South McCoy, the end of South McCoy, no, all of South McCoy, the end of McCoy, Ingleside and Parkway.
Yeah.
Which are at the top of Weber.
They all need top coats.
Did anything get top coat?
The part that got top coat was Weber Road Extension,
Yeah, small part.
which is way up at the top, almost into Glen Osmond. So that part got finished, and the driveway into this pump station down here got completed,
So
on base and top.
There's a lot of work left to do.
Yes.
Do we have an estimate in the spring of how long it will be?
Well, we said not longer than April 30th.
We talked about a date certain, not just saying come back in the spring, but we talked about it legally in terms of an extension to a particular date,
Right.
after which fines and penalties would kick in, because there is a provision in the contract for fines and penalties for delay. But we drew April 30th as somewhat of an arbitrary time, realizing that weather can also play a role in the spring as much as it does now. I mean, that can be also. So it would really be up to it would be at your option at that point, whether you wanted to start imposing fines and penalties or whether you wanted to allow him to finish subject to weather conditions.
So are we in the process of drafting a new contract?
No. This will simply be an addendum or
Okay.
a rider that will extend the time for completion under the same terms and conditions as the original,
You know, all the unit prices remain the same,
at the same
at
price.
the same price. So the oil, if it goes up, it's on his ticket.
And he's aware of that.
Why couldn't they have done some of the roads?
Well, I think, Tony, I don't want to give an engineering opinion, but I think what he said was, and that, correct me if I'm wrong, that he could do something, but it was not advisable because he didn't want to rush it, and he was concerned that in trying to rush it would be laying it in less than optimal conditions,
Yeah, the problem,
wetness.
the problem is you're in a point now that the plants are going to shut down, but they're going to stay open through December, but they're going to shut down when there's cold spells. So you're going to get guys working and stopping. So you're going to be out there paving 20% of the road, and you don't want to do that. So it's better just to hold off. Now, why it took so long, I got an opinion on that, and I think we punt on the engineer. I think we could get another engineer.
Yeah, because we started this
Yeah.
in the spring.
Yeah, it's not been implemented in a reasonable manner.
Okay.
I had heard some of the guys talking about a concern that if you put a base coat down and you let that go through a freeze and a thaw, it would damage the base coat.
Well, you'll get some cracking. They'll have to go back.
And that's part of what they're going to do when they
Yeah.
come back.
Yeah.
And they're aware of that possibility.
Mhm. Yeah. It'll be subject to the weather. So, well,
Okay.
they'll have to reestablish.
Were they also pointing a finger at the engineer?
No,
No.
No.
I think
no.
we bid it later than normal because we were, choosing who was going to handle the project. So the project got bid later than normal, and then, it was a late season bid, so they were going to finish up all their other work and get to this at the end, and the end came soon. So it was multiple reasons.
Okay.
why it just didn't.
Wasn't scheduled.
Okay, and so then this motion that we have on the table now for $2,463, what is that now?
That's when they start excavating, they found the base, the soil was in bad shape. They had to go in and put a lot of gravel, had to choke it. They had to get a firm base in there. And
So this base, this is not paving base we're talking about.
no,
This is sub
sub-base.
sub-base.
Sub-base, yeah. But that's key. You gotta get a good. sub-base.
Sure. And this doesn't have anything to do with the delay. This is just
This is just the bid that's
unforeseen
covered when they test.
circumstances.
Yeah, it's
Right.
an
Okay.
unforeseen. Can't blame that on it.
Thank you all for answering my questions.
Well, good points to raise. Need a roll call vote, please?
President Gardner,
Yes.
Vice President Dilbert,
Yes?
Commissioner Scholar,
Yes,
Commissioner Lasante.
Yes,
Motion carries. Motion to accept proposal to update to road study. Proposal to update to road study.
Oops, sorry.
I make a motion you defer that.
I don't even think we need that motion. I think if it's not moved and seconded,
Okay, I'm not moving or seconding.
We just cross it, okay.
Would you like it on the agenda for December?
No,
Would anyone like it on the agenda for December?
no, I think we'll
we'll readdress it when it's time.
I think we gotta make a decision on, we're gonna get another engineer, that engineer should do it if anybody. What I've seen, and I ran around, all over the place today with Tom, and it seems to me that it's almost pretty simply what we have to do in the next year or two.
Right, I will add it back whenever you ask.
Okay. Sounds logical. Solicitor.
Well, I'll have some items to discuss, litigation items to discuss in the executive session. Promise to keep it brief. Other than that, I just wanted to report that Matt and I had a conversation about something that Gwen and I have been working on, which is your ordinance codification project. What happens is there are services, large publishing houses, some regional, some state-based, that will take all of your ordinances and will codify them and put them in one big code book. And then that can be done, it used to be done hardbound volumes. And more recently, they do it as a digital type thing. So if someone wants to go online and they want to know what Aleppo Township's ordinance says about dogs or
cutting
zoning,
your grass.
they can find that all online. And it's often a time when the municipalities will dig into their ordinances and start looking at them, and because you have the opportunity then to revise and update your ordinances as you're going through this process. I was not even aware, but Gwen apparently has been doing this for a while with this publishing house. And I guess they're coming to the end of that process. And one of the things that we talked about doing was my performing a final review on what Gwen has done to date, which is, by the way, very, very well done. So I don't imagine my review should take much time, but I've just been tied up with some other stuff, and honestly, I just haven't to it yet. But there's no reason why that's something that I can't finish up, and then you would have. Now, then you do have to send it in to the publishing house. I think they like to receive everything in Word format usually, and then they will take care of putting it in a code book with chapters and sections.
Are you gonna put it online?
That's
Yeah.
that's the impetus for all of this, is that in our meeting, Gwen told me that she's actually done the lion's share of this work, and we said, well,
That's great.
if we're that close, we might as well push it on,
Yeah.
because right now the ordinances, the Aleppo ordinances are I wouldn't say completely inaccessible, but they're largely inaccessible. They exist only here.
Right.
Uh,
You have to
they're not-
search.
And I
Question?
was looking for something online, other piece of information online today, and somehow managed to find myself in Leedsdale's database, and they use general code, and it was very nicely presented, and I thought, oh, this is what ours is gonna look like.
Is that who we're using, general code?
Mhm.
I see that most often, general code must be the biggest.
Mhm.
There are others, but general codes, I think.
And we've paid for the bulk of this over years already. It's been going on for 10 years.
Yeah, honestly, I didn't even know what was going on. I didn't know you
Mary
were
Lou
doing
started it, so a long time ago.
it.
Do we have, there's a one hardbound,
There will be. There will be several hardbound copies.
and what do you have to do if there's a change to an ordinance?
Well, that's why it's good to have the online database, because they can update that more easily.
Okay.
Eventually, we'll get some, smaller inserts to put in the back of the hard book.
You put 'em-
Pocket part. It's called a pocket part.
You put them in the back, you don't put them
Yeah.
in where the
They
original
call them
ordinance.
supplements.
So, yes, it's much better to have it online because they plug them in where they need to be.
Sure, yeah, but
Yeah.
in the hard copy, if you're reading it, how do you know that there's a revision?
You have to look in the pocket part.
So when you're looking up something, you gotta do this, and then you have to double check.
That's correct.
Well, actually, every
like the
so
township
often-
code book, it's
Yeah,
like
every
that.
so often, they'll send you all your changes, and then you insert them. They have the binder, you have to undo the binder, and you.
Oh, it's not a pocket part. Oh,
You actually insert the
The whole
new
new
the
page.
pages.
Yeah,
We have, every year, we turn them back into the girls in the office, and they go through them, put the new stuff in, and then
Take the old stuff.
put it back on the shelf. Yeah, they're, like you said, they're bound and.
So what are we gonna, you're gonna have the pockets here in the
We'll
back?
have all of it. I don't have no idea. But it's a bound book. I don't know what it's gonna look like. And, I have a binder for a sample right now.
Oh,
nobody's going to use the bound copy. Everybody's going to use the computer copy.
Okay. I'm not gonna.
And
Okay,
then whenever you make a change, you send it into them in Word, and they take care of updating the,
Formatting it.
yeah, they format it, they do everything. For a fee, of course.
So what's the time frame? I mean, I know Harlan, you're busy, and I don't mean to.
Yeah, go ahead.
Well, yeah, and
But yes.
I'll cut you a little, I'll jump in front a little bit and say I have to make sure that I have the most updated to them. So
Right.
I have a little part that I have to complete too, so.
Okay.
We're, and even my review I've started, it's just a lot to go through. So I need that block of time. And it's like reading the tax code. I mean, it's like one ordinance after another, but I just need the block of
But
time.
they're existing ordinances. It's not as if, so you're going to make recommendations to us for things where there might be some repetition or something that's out of date.
Well, not even. I think Gwen's got it to the point where
Probably did
it's
not.
basically, fill in here, fill in there. And she actually has identified for me the areas where she needs me to provide input. So a lot of it's just, fill in a blank. But it's, like I said, it's just time consuming to go through it.
It's been going on for so many years that I don't know the level of analysis that happened in the very beginning, trying to identify where they go through and check if you're duplicating. They don't write, if you have 4 ordinances that say the same thing, you don't have to read all 4 of them. They break it down for you and put it in sections. When we get the final draft, we're 95% done with this project. So we'll have it for a while, and I think that any kind of updating, like, it would be great if a couple commissioners went through and just flipped through it and said, we don't have an ordinance on chickens, which is an issue that's come up. If you want to talk about an ordinance about chickens or something like that. So, we're always open to somebody calling and saying, why don't you have an ordinance on this? And we look and say, we should, so.
Well, that's sort of a different issue, but it's an important
what
one.
does that mean?
A lot of times people think when they do these codifications that it's like it can never be changed. It's like it has to be perfect when you submit it, but it's just a collection of your existing ordinances, and there's really no magic to it. You can change it any time through an amendment, just like we would do with any other ordinance. So to answer your question, I just need, like I said the other day, I need a block of time. As soon as I get it, it really shouldn't be that difficult.
Is there anything I can do?
Mine's just pull them and send them, so
Okay.
not on my end.
Not really.
Okay.
There are maybe 10
Major
blanks,
points that I need you
major
to just
points
check on.
where the question is to the solicitor, what do you think about this? What do you think about that? They've all been highlighted for the most part.
Yeah, they
So,
did a pretty thorough review They do a review as they assemble it.
If we come up with a new ordinance on chickens,
Mhm.
do you file it with the ordinance on roosters? Turkeys,
You have
or
to
is it?
figure out where in the zoning ordinance, like farm animals. or-
Animals.
Yeah, we have
So-
barnyard animal ordinance, but we don't have chicken.
Usually you would have.
But you do
would have an
classify them by
animal-
category.
You would have an animal ordinance, which might be part of your zoning or might be.
Could be
might
freestanding.
standalone. But it would
Okay.
be an
Okay.
animal
Enough of that.
I heard hours and hours of discussion about horses.
Horses, oh, yeah. Go to Swickley Heights if you want to hear about horses.
Yeah, we don't have them. Is that it on solicitor? Yes, well,
Yeah. that's good.
Yes. That's it.
sewer project.
So I have a motion that we form a committee to address the Sewickley sewer tap-in fee. And I guess I would augment my motion by saying that that committee be comprised of, at the least, Tony and myself.
Okay. Anybody from the authority? I'm just suggesting.
Yeah.
So this is the tap-in, the new tap-in fee, starting in December to any new resident in Sewickley.
No,
No,
Now,
it's
or
the
the
residents in
tap-in.
Aleppo.
So we can
And
handle
Sewickley,
it. Yeah.
I mean Aleppo.
Right.
I mean, it's Aleppo. Which we just got done saying really is really between the resident and Sewickley.
there's two,
But
Well-
I think that we still, go ahead.
there's two tap-in fees.
There's our tap-in fee, I
Right.
know,
Sewickley
I know,
Right.
and then there's a Sewickley
And-
tap-in fee.
Joanne, let me just explain why I'm making this motion. I am acutely aware of the fact that the sewer project became such a problem and we ended up defendants in a civil lawsuit because there was sort of a lack of communication between this body and Masonic Village about the sewer. And
That's
De-
debatable.
details of that in the
Don't
debate,
go
I understand that.
anywhere,
I agree with
that's
that. It's
debatable.
all I'm saying is that there was at least a perceived lack of communication. Okay.
Perceived as a better word.
So what I'm trying to do is say, we foresee another issue coming up concerning the tap fee. And rather than sit around and twiddle our thumbs and say, us have conversations here and note that nobody from Masonic Village is here for those conversations and hear that there are conversations being had on the side. Why don't we just head it off at the pass and have an official dialogue between this body and any interested residents, which would obviously include Masonic Village as the largest affected resident, but may also include other residents as well.
And Sewickley.
At this point, I don't think that's the goal at this point. I think at this point, it's just for that committee to discuss among ourselves sort of the Aleppo side response.
Okay.
I'm not saying the Aleppo response, I'm saying the Aleppo side response. Yeah, please.
Matt, before you do that, you might want to hear what I have to say in executive session about my conversations with Masonic's attorney regarding that matter.
Yes,
Okay.
We
So
can
I
come
would
not
back.
just
that I
ask
know
you to-
what that is, but I think that may have something.
I have information about Masonic's position that I will share in executive session, which may not change your idea about forming a committee, but it might, as far as who would be on the committee, perhaps.
And the mission.
We
Okay.
can come out and do it after executive session. I'm not saying I think that's a bad idea. I guess I'm just. So what you're saying is that we would act as some kind of a support, which we should. I mean, these are our, these are our constituents
Yeah.
that we should be I mean, we don't want to see people getting ripped off that live in Aleppo.
Nor do I want there to be an inconsistent response in Aleppo. I don't want somebody on Redgate Road who doesn't have the background, the institutional backup of Masonic Village
Right?
to be
Right.
paying a tap fee to Sewickley when Masonic Village is saying, we're not paying that tap fee, it's an unfair tap fee.
Mhm. But the problem with that is how you're going to find that constituent on Redgate Road.
Well, we're gonna
Well, first
know,
we'll know through planning.
Yeah, we're gonna
and
know.
We'll know through.
we're gonna
They
know.
would have to come through.
I'm just saying, I mean, while we're not directly, we don't have privity between that resident in Aleppo, whether it's Masonic Village or somebody on Redgate Road, and Sewickley. We are not directly in contract between the two of them. It's naive to say that that Aleppo is not somehow involved in this. And in fact, I would imagine that the resident on Redgate Road would think that we are part of that line of contract. So we might as well know what the party line is going to be, what our approach is going to be, what Masonic's view on it is. And honestly, I don't know that, I mean, I'm happy to hear what you have to say, but I think that creation of this committee should be a very public event. And whether Masonic wants to participate with us or not, I would say Masonic is a huge piece of this. Masonic is a tremendously huge piece of this, but it's bigger than just Masonic. So I don't know that entirely changes my mind unless you think that there's something I should hear. Otherwise, I still have the motion.
No, I think the idea of it doesn't, what I'm going to tell you or what I'm going to say isn't going to directly impact the idea of whether or not you want a committee. It may have to do with what you think that, what the mission of the committee ought to be, who ought to be on it, and things like that.
That's fine. And I've been purposefully vague in the mission of the committee. I just want authority to form a committee so that we have the authorization to do that. And if we need additional authorization, we'll come back to this board and ask for it. But I don't know that we'll ever be doing that because I don't think we're going to be negotiating on behalf of this board.
Well, then they'll form that committee, and even so far as the members of the committee, we can add to that at a later date.
That's fine.
Okay.
So then I would make I would make a amendment to my own motion and whatever it was before. I'll make my motion be to form a committee to address the Sewickley tap-in fee.
I second.
Any further discussion? Let's see, all in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carries.
And to
Okay.
clarify, it's just the motion as written and you took off the committee members as your,
Yes, it's actually exactly as it is in the
okay.
agenda.
Okay, good. Unfinished business.
Anything new on the McCoy?
Not since last week.
Road? No?
We didn't record last week though, so can you
Oh,
re-summarize what's
Um,
going on?
The street names and house numbers on McCoy and South McCoy are too similar, and we're having a lot of incidents where deliveries are being made to the wrong house, medical personnel and police are going to the wrong house. So a lot of the residents have sent us a letter saying they would like to do something because it's an irritating and unsafe condition, having the houses get mixed up all the time. So we are going to work on a proposal to change the name
Change the name
of South McCoy. Keep McCoy the way it is and we would keep the house numbers the same, but just create a new name for South McCoy so that the emergency responders can be very clear and delivery people and everybody can be very clear on which house they're going to. So we're going to be working on that issue.
So
what the next step is what?
We will draft an ordinance for your review, and it'll authorize the manager to
Send letters out?
and to change addresses under certain circumstances, authorizing her to notify the post office, other authorities, in the event that, and basically giving Gwen the power to do that.
And you're gonna just give people an option to pick a name. I would give them choices, Gwen.
I will,
I
yes,
think
it's not
they
gonna
get
be
three
a write-in
choices.
vote here.
Good luck.
Thank you.
Well, how are we gonna, I mean, you're gonna come up with something out of thin air?
You're
How's
not,
McDonald's?
Matt, you're not getting any dibs on this one.
I
She
don't,
just-
I'll,
She'll think of something.
yeah, I haven't thought about what a name would be yet.
Don't the residents,
Well, she can ask the residents if they wanna come up, but if you're gonna give it 20 people an option, you're gonna get 20 different names, right?
maybe, maybe not, maybe there'll be consensus.
I mean, I can contact the main letter writer, and she was kind of the leader in getting the information in the community, and go to her and say, this is what our thought is, get back to me with what, you know, take a poll of your neighbors and get back to me with their
Now,
feedback
she's
first.
on South McCoy.
She is.
Oh, that might be a good approach.
That is a good
Let her
approach.
go
Yeah.
and
Give them some input.
canvass the community and come back with the name.
Yeah,
Give it to the people.
I would like to
It's
give.
our motto. Pizza.
Okay, anything else on unfinished business? Water lines, whatever. New business. Right,
I have a motion to authorize us to purchase a new communications computer and the wire that we need to tie it into our router for $258.38.
I second it.
250 and 38, 25038,
25838.
Where do you find
25838.
that computer?
Not to exceed
$250.
$260.
not to-
Amazon.
It's a
You guys
good
kill me with
price.
these.
I did a lot of research. I came up with it.
Believe in rounding.
Right.
Acer.
That's what I have.
It's not going to be.
You don't need, you're
It's
not
a- it's-
storing
You seconded the
anything on
motion.
this.
I
so.
did.
It's a single tasker. It needs to do one thing. It needs to have the right ports. It needs to have the right processor.
Do you second it too?
I did, yes.
Discussion? It's a good idea, well worth the money. All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Opposed? Motion carries.
I have a motion, and I talked to Gwen and Tony about this a little bit, so I'll try to come up with this generically. Well, let me do it in two different pieces. I have a motion to move the no trespassing sign on the access road between Swickley Heights Drive and the pump station further back down that road to make it less visible from Swickley Heights Drive.
Motion to move no trespassing
Yeah,
sign.
let's just motion to move the no trespassing sign further down the access road.
And this is in Swickley Heights Manor.
Yes. Yes.
By the playground? Where is
As you
it?
come down Swickley Heights Drive, you turn left. I'm sorry, Swickley Ridge Drive. I said Swickley Heights Drive. Swickley Ridge Drive. Turn left down the ridge. They have that new access road that goes to the new pump station.
Oh, okay. See, I don't know the road.
Right by the tennis court, by the lower tennis court.
You ought to pump out that little lake down there.
That's
I think there's something really bad in that lake.
Somebody buried.
Alligators?
Oh, I do. You ever see the cover of
I think it's algae though. I don't think
it? No, I
it's,
don't think it's algae. I think
green?
it's green. Yeah.
Green is out.
It's like.
Kids skate on that lake. That's cute.
No, but- oh,
on that
it's
pond.
horrible.
Okay, we have a motion, and
I second
you
that,
Thank
seconded
you.
the motion.
whatever.
Discussion? All in favor, signify by saying aye.
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 Motion carried. Next,
And then the second piece of that is that there's a small, I stress small, triangle of land that's sort of formed by Swickley Ridge Drive and the access road right in front of the sign for the ridge, that residents have asked for us to either pave or, well, I think they want it to be paved. Now, there was some thought that perhaps there would be some other solution that would be better for that. And I certainly recognize that it can't happen this year, but I guess my motion would be for us to pave that small triangle of land. You know what I'm talking about? Okay, so, well, you don't know where this,
I don't know where the road is.
We're talking
so
about-
how
we're
can I
talking
know
about-
Where the land is.
This
10
big-
square feet?
Yeah.
Oh, 10.
10 square feet. You could pave it with a wheelbarrow.
Do we do it?
Wait,
Well, I mean,
can our guys do it?
oh yeah,
Yeah, they can do
Yeah.
it.
Just do it.
But it can't be done till the spring.
probably cannot be done.
No, because when it comes to paving, we got our hands full.
Well, there's a motion on the floor, right? On the table.
Yeah, I just, my
Okay.
motion is for us to pave it.
Okay,
I'll second it.
okay. All in favor, say aye. Aye.
Thank you.
Opposed?
You know where it is.
I do.
Okay.
Let's not
I hope.
take
we're
more
done.
time talking about it than we would doing it.
I got a few more. You want
I
me?
hope.
You got
I'm
more?
finished. Come on now.
Who wound you up?
3.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah.
okay. You're pushing it.
Yes, sir.
I'm done. I'm
Oh,
done.
you are?
I'm done. Come on.
Thought you were just starting.
Every little 10-foot.
We have now,
So I think we can, on the audit recommendations, I think we can remove disaster recovery plan.
Okay, and that reminds me, I did receive a sample anti-fraud policy also from the auditor.
Excellent.
So I will get that printed out and, turned over to you guys for review.
Thanks.
what else? Payroll training, bank.
I just went through payroll training to upgrade the payroll system, and it was a delight, and so we'll see how that goes.
Okay, the next is citizen participation, but the chief can't say anything because he's not a resident. Okay,
Going to executive session?
we will go into executive session for matters, legal considerations.
At 7:50.